Overtired. So tired. Overtired.
Hey, welcome to Overtired. Yes, that's 2 weeks in a row consecutively. This is Brett Terpstra. I am here with Jeff Severns Gunsel. Christina is out, but in her stead, we have the fabulous Jay Miller. You can find him at kjmiller.com. How's it going, Jay?
It's good. It's good. Glad to be back.
Hi, Jay.
So
I feel like this is 4 in a row.
is it really?
I think so.
There's been a lot. I've been excited. I've been listening.
Thanks to Jeff and his fill-in Merlin episodes, I guess.
Yeah, you get who you can.
The Merlin sods have been good.
That was a blast talking to Merlin. It was really, really lovely.
Merlin told us that he would come on anytime. If we could stand him. So yeah, there will be more Merlin episodes. Look forward to that.
The funny thing about talking to Merlin one-on-one is that I've been listening, I mean, probably like all of us, maybe listening to Merlin's podcasts for like 12 years. And there aren't many other podcasts that I listen to regularly. I would say I listen to one of his podcasts every week. I don't usually listen to all of them. And I used to have this dream that I was on some podcast I loved or another, and I just really, really messed it up. And it was just, I'd wake up feeling like such a failure. And the first time Merlin got on, it was like, oh, this is that dream where I'm like talking to someone that I've only really known through podcasts, and it's got to work. Anyway, it was really nice. It was delightful.
Someone said, I like it when you have Merlin on because unlike his other podcasts, he hasn't gotten comfortable enough to just descend into grievances.
That's funny.
All right. Should we kick it off with the mental health corner, our longest running segment?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Jay, would you like to go first?
I always feel like when I lead it, it's the worst. I'm always super long, and I guess me muting things as
You are the guest.
Okay, that's fine. I'll own it. So yeah, work has been interesting. As I put in a blog post recently, I have survived yet another layoff. That's the
I missed that.
Yeah, that's the second one at this company, and I've only been here since February, which is great.
Nice.
The third reorg, which is, company's going to company, I guess.
And how long?
Since February.
Since February. Third reorg since February.
Yeah.
That's even worse than mine.
Our entire original department is gone. Our company has no more marketing department.
Yeah, that does sound like Oracle.
They're like, we just don't need this anymore. But what's funny is I'm not a movie person, so I don't have like a great reference other than like Suicide Squad. I kind of got called into this Suicide Squad of a team that was like, hey, you have a special set of skills and we're going to do a thing and we're not going to let half the company know what we're doing, except for we're only going to give them snippets of what's happening behind the scenes. And you're responsible for giving those snippets because that's your superpower here.
Huh.
So do you want to be loved by this team of like 10 people and hated by the other 180 people in the company because you're just not doing the things that we normally do?
Depends on who those 10 people are.
Very, very senior staff level engineers, architects. Like this is all good. And that's why I feel like the analogy is breaking down a little bit, but I got asked to be on a special team at work. The team is doing some like not so top secret stuff. But what's interesting about it is my role on the team is part API designer, part like project manager, part developer advocate. So there's a lot going on, but it very much re-emphasized some of the things that I've been working on in a recent blog post, or series of blog posts, which are like, what are the valuable skills that engineering teams or development teams actually need that aren't coding? Because I've seen a lot of code. I've seen a lot of production level code. they're not hiring people for their coding skills. That's obvious. Code is bad. And no matter how big or small the company is, the code just gets bad over time. Bad decisions are made for good reasons. Bad decisions are made for bad reasons. The code sucks, so there has to be something else. And I'm slowly learning just from people who have worked at companies like Google, who've been architects for Google, architects for Microsoft, Shopify, like some of these bigger companies that have seen a lot of success and are doing things differently, just like picking their brain and really learning a lot, but also having them see the value in good production. Like I have to do a weekly demo to the rest of the company of what we've been working on every single week. And often it's like, hey, here's some infrastructure stuff that Jay's never had to touch before. And then also here's Jay giving the demo of how to use this.
Mm-hmm.
And the resounding response is like, Jay, your demos are the thing that everyone looks forward to now in the call, because all of the other ones are like watching bread turn into toast out in the sun. It's grueling. So it's great to be loved and to be like wanted by a team of people who are very, very experienced and often have to re-explain things to me because I have no clue what they're talking about. But then also, because of this shakeup at work, there's kind of been this rift in that our current team is under new management. That new management wants me to stick around because kind of the hope is if this team is successful, then it becomes a new department, and then the people who are there just kind of stay there. So old company wants me, or old team wants me around, new team wants me around. A third team that is like, hey, you probably should actually be over here anyway, because that's what makes like logical sense. We also want you around. And everyone is throwing out like, do you want money? Do you want management? Do you like, what do you want? So it's, safe to say, like, aside from feeling kind of overworked and a little stressed out, which is just, I feel like a normal thing, I am feeling very much wanted and having a little bit of survivorship bias, having, these conversations where people are like, what can we do to keep you happy with, the team that you're on and with the projects that you're on. That's been really, really blinding of the fact that I just lost another half of my existing team and some of the people I work closest with due to this last layoff round.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, rose-colored glass is going to put those on and ignore like the atomic bomb that just went off in our company that mostly impacted my areas, but also, hey, this sunset's looking really nice right now. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
So when I first started at Oracle, they wanted me, and they gave me a good salary, and they gave me a bonus my first year and a raise. And then we went through multiple reorgs, and I feel completely unwanted now. I got no raise this year. I got no bonus. I got nothing. And that feels like punishment, when, inflation is going up and your salary isn't going up. That's basically a pay cut. I'm really jealous that you feel or that you literally are that wanted. I wish.
I think the downside to that, though, is none of these, like only one of them was like, maybe it comes with a pay increase. And that's just because to level out, again, you've got like staff level architects from Google coming in, making that kind of money. We kind of have to balance things. But everyone else is like, hey, we just laid off a bunch of people because we've got to save money. So I'm also kind of in the camp of like, I feel like as much as they want to promise me more money, come time for like, hey, let's do a review and let's talk about compensation, that's going to get left out somehow.
Yeah. And that sucks. All this like saving money when your stock is doing fine shit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's this spectrum that's starting to sort of emerge in my mind, and I want you to help me fill it out. So there's what you're talking about, which is you survived the layoff. You have a blog post about this too, which I'll put in the in the show notes, or I put in there. You survive the layoff and you feel wanted, right? On the other end is you've been laid off and you feel totally unwanted. Another one is you're Brett and you're there, you've survived layoffs, but you also feel unwanted. What is the one between Brett and you, Jay? Like, is it just I feel wanted but I may die any day?
My team is designated for future layoffs. That's like
Right.
the space in between where things are great, everybody's gelling, and there hasn't been a layoff in 6 months. So you're like, hey, this is good, while everybody braces for impact. I talked about this in that blog post of that, like, being a military veteran and being someone who's been diagnosed with PTSD, like, I can honestly say that dealing with layoffs at Elastic, followed by layoffs at Microsoft, followed by 2 rounds of layoffs at Ivan, like, and they don't want to call them layoffs, they want to call them restructuring, but like restructuring comes with, like, if more than 3 people got laid off at the same time from different departments, and I feel like it could be justified as a layoff.
Yep.
You know, for the same reason. Like, when those things happen, there's no good way to do it. And that's the problem, is that, like, in Microsoft's case, hey, we're going to lay off 10,000 people while also announcing that we've had record revenue generated.
Yeah. Well,
like,
the in between is that that 1950s, 60s mentality that no longer exists, where you get a good job, you do your job, you do everything that's asked of you, and every year you get an incremental raise and a Christmas bonus, and you're not worried about layoffs because you're doing your job, you're good at your job. And now, like, the reason they gave me for not getting a bonus was I only scored there's like 5, it's like a 1 to 5 rating in your review. And a 3 means adequately performs all duties. And when I started, they told me just always get a 3 and you'll get what you need. And like, if you put a 5 down for anything, then like management gets like uneasy that you're looking for a promotion or whatever. And the reason they gave me for not getting
I
a
don't know
bonus,
about this guy.
the reason they gave me for not getting a bonus was I only had a 3 on my review. And
Nice.
I like, it's a self-review too. So I just gave myself 3s and everything, because that's
And
what
it's
I
a
was told.
self-review. That is capitalism, right? Like,
you
It's-
denied
you've
yourself a right.
internalized. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a self-review that your manager can argue with if he feels that you overranked yourself, and rarely will they up your score for you.
It's weird in that, like, Microsoft was the same way, except for basically we were told, hey, don't screw over, like, it was a peer review. So the ruling was you never screw over one of your teammates.
Sure. Why
You
would
always
you?
put in the good stuff. You never put in any bad stuff. So that there's no growth whatsoever. There's no, like, personal development. But then also at the same time, they're like, hey, we know that you're lying, so therefore we're going to just throw out this. And it's like, it's not even lying. It's just like, if I'm having to basically re-interview for my job every 6 months,
Yeah.
give you all the good stuff and turn all the bad stuff into more good stuff, then, like, I truly am not developing as a human being, and our company has a bunch of robots, and then that's when I get bored and I bounce.
Yeah. Well, it's bullshit. Like, your manager should do your rating, and they should be on your side. And this whole system, you're right, it does not inspire personal growth. I will say, like, not getting any compensation, it feels like they thought that would inspire me to work harder, but it absolutely does not.
Yeah, it will make me work harder on everything other than my job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes me work harder at looking for a new job.
Or it makes you dig into a passion project or something, right? Like, it's just like, okay, fine, I'm going to go where I already know how to feel satisfied and valuable, but you're just not the framework in which I can do that.
All right. So, Jay, does that sum up your mental health corner?
Yeah, no, that's it for me.
All right. Mine is actually not work related. I do actually want to talk about what's happening at my job in brief later on. But the weird thing for me right now is I feel like I have both ADHD and bipolar like under control. Like
Nice.
I've got focus, I've got like when I'm sleeping anyway, like I've got just like steady mood, motivation, and like it's weird. It's weird to be like both bipolar stable and ADHD attentive at the same time. I have had sleep issues ongoing. Like this has been going on for months and I've talked about it. And I started having lightheadedness, like persistent, not just when I stood up, just like constant lightheadedness that was on the verge of like euphoria. Like it felt really good, but also made it unsafe to drive. So I figured I should do something about it. So we tried the only reason they could come up with was it must be caused by the gabapentin. So I tried to get off the gabapentin, which gabapentin also acts as an anti-anxiety medication. And I went cold turkey off it and had the worst day of anxiety I have ever had. I was absolutely certain I was going to lose my job. I was absolutely certain that everybody hated me. It was a real rough day. So I kind of went back on the gabapentin and tapered myself off and tried this drug called Dayvigo, which is supposed to help with sleep. But as has been my experience with every other sleep medication, I got no sleep. It did nothing. So I'm currently back on the gabapentin. I am not anxious. And today I am not lightheaded. And I am not convinced that the gabapentin is a problem, which means I have to go in for like pulmonary and brain scans to try to explain the lightheadedness if it comes back. Because yeah. So I'm filling out forms to try functional medicine. Are you guys familiar with this?
I don't know. Explain.
It's like a cross between Western medicine and a more holistic kind of what's the word? When they give you a bunch of supplements and recommend electromagnetic therapy.
I was going to ask, do they take your bipolar meds, crush them up, dip like acupuncture needles in them, and then like
Ooh.
So yeah, I don't know yet. I wasn't impressed with the like consultation phone call I had, but I've got like GI issues. I've got bipolar and ADHD, and I've got sleep issues. And I have specialists for each one of these, but none of the specialists agree with the other specialists. And in my mind, all this shit has to be connected. In some way. There has to be some underlying problem. And functional medicine seems to be the only option I have without going to like fucking acupuncture and stuff. No offense to acupuncturists. I just don't think it's going to solve like bipolar.
I
like
love
sleep
acupuncture.
issues.
I'm not using it for those things.
Yeah, exactly. But like, what wellness? The wellness industry, I guess, is like I don't have a lot of faith in. I think it's a mostly a ripoff. But functional medicine seems like my only hope for finding connections. And like you start with like urine sample, saliva sample, fecal sample, and it takes like 5 weeks to analyze all this. And then they come back with like a recommendation, I guess. So I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see. Last thing in my mental health corner is health insurance. One of my therapists, multiple therapists, does not submit to insurance, so I have to make claims myself using her super bills. And I submitted like 20 bills for the year, and I got back 20 separate $25 checks to cover. They're supposed to cover 90% of like a $280 bill, which they reduced to $250. And then instead of giving me 90% of that, they paid me 10% of that, which means now I have to like resubmit all these claims. And when you're resubmitting, they require faxes. So I have to fax in receipts, which obviously I do online because there's no fax machines in the world anymore.
Oh my God, no, there's not.
And so like it's
There's
just,
only super spammy fax services online.
and then I found one that's free or like for $2.90 I could send a 20-page fax.
It wasn't
Um,
eFax, was it?
no,
Ugh.
I can't remember. It's called like freefax.com or something.
Mhm.
But
Just a
they
fax.
also, my last 10 I submitted, they sent back 10 separate envelopes, each one containing a single piece of paper that said, hey, for out of network claims, contact our partner at this and they'll help you like get your bill reduced or whatever. And I'm like, you have fully reimbursed me for this provider in the past and something is wrong now. So I spend an hour on the phone with customer service and it just
The
results
upside
in and
is
more
that
faxes.
the upside is that somewhere there's an envelope licker who has dodged all the layoffs.
All right, that's all I got. Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I'm doing good. I know think I've talked about my lathe and my mental health check-in, or
yeah.
maybe just my workshop. But a new sort of like, because I mean the background is that a really severe manic episode, unlike anything I'd ever had or have had since in October of 21, led me to fill my garage and my driveway with things from from auctions of closing steel factories. It's quite a thing.
Mm.
And it took me it took me until about 4 months ago to get out from under it, which I obviously wasn't doing that constantly. But when I could stomach going into my garage and kind of facing sort of the shame and frustration of this self of mine that existed for 1 month, that is of course still me, but like was a little screwed up by brain chemistry and the wrong medication. It took me a long time to get out from under it. Finally, I have a workshop that is just like, it's exactly what it should be. It's a lovely place. Everything's organized. Any tool I want is within reach. All my drawers are labeled. And I have this
Sounds
lathe.
amazing.
I have this, it is amazing. I have this lathe, this 100-year-old lathe. I've been on Mastodon about it a lot. And I have a machining teacher or mentor who I learned how to use metal lathes and Bridgeport mills to machine metal 5, 6, 7 years ago. He's a lovely person. He's unlike anybody I would have ever imagined meeting that would teach and mentor in machining. And I finally felt confident having him over because my shop was just a nice place to be. And I wanted his guidance and I wanted him to help me problem solve and all of this stuff. And so it was the first time I had invited somebody into my workshop, because I've normally just kind of like, people would be over and they'd be like, let's go look at your workshop. And I have to be like, no, not now, for years. And it was just horrible. Because I knew that it was like, why is he ashamed of his workshop? And so I had my teacher over. I served Nepalese food at the work table on a big old piece of cardboard where he drew how he had recently built an elevator, like a freight elevator, using the mag drill I gave him that I got at an auction. A mag drill is like when you see people breaking into safes in the movies with a giant magnet. That's what a mag drill is. He drew a whole picture of it on a thing. And then we spent like 3 hours investigating how a thing was put together 100 years ago so that we could take it apart. and there is something in that is such a calming experience for me, to be staring slowly at a thing and going, how do you want to come apart? Like I see maybe there's some threads under there. I see there's like a Woodruff key. I'm just going to use jargon.
Yeah.
And doing that with someone else, and then ultimately succeeding and then really appreciating what you find underneath, or when you realize how it is that they devised this, this thing, and having just like really like unmitigated joy, like goofy, childish joy. He's a great match for that. And so it was awesome. And he's also happens to be right now building a 7-foot beer can that for a brewery that actually tips and pours beer and tips back. So he also is just like a lot of fun. So
that
anyway,
sounds like an Axeman trip for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a huge milestone for me, and so directly related to mental health. And so it's just amazing. Yeah,
I am totally like that with code, especially with writing regular expressions. Like I just find the world around me calms down, especially when I'm like looking through someone else's really good code to figure out how they did it.
Nice.
And there's just all these like delights along the way, and you learn like all new all new functions and API calls. And yeah, it's really nice. I had a metals teacher in high school he told me, I have to give you an A. I think you're dumber than a box of rocks. Quote, dumber than a box of rocks, but I have to give you an A because you did everything. I kind of was
Christ.
I screwed off a lot in his class.
Yeah, because it's shop.
Yeah, it's shop. And like we were like chasing each other around with like metal files and pouring molten lead down
Because
each
it's
other's
shop.
I got the back of my tennis shoe burned off by like molten metal.
It's really a science class about evolution.
So wait a minute, hold on. So your shop teacher said that you gave yourself a 3
You're
and was still able to promote you.
exactly.
Exactly. And then in college, I took a metals class, and again, in the review at the end, he told me I was an asshole, but he had to give me an A. And I'm
you were
like,
smarter this time, I guess.
yeah.
I only
Like
ever got told I was
this
an
time I was
asshole
a
and got a
smart
D.
ass. I made some cool. I made a. So they brought in a nude model and had her pose, and we had to draw one part of her body and then sculpt it in metal. And I chose
the knuckle.
I chose her hand, which she was leaning against a table, and no one can see this because this is the audio podcast, but she had like her
It looks
wrist
a
bent.
little bit like Brett has rigor mortis.
Yeah, she had her wrist bent and it was resting on the table. So I sculpted from the elbow down and I flipped it upside down to make a little table out of her hand and did the whole thing in like 1/4-inch steel. And welding that again was a very calming process. It took hours and I just zoned in. I was on a lot of heroin, but I zoned in and it was awesome.
So here's my question for your shop teacher. Is he listening? Is he listening to the podcast? I assume it was a he. When you have come up in the world of welders and machinists, somehow to act like being an asshole is like outside the norm or even not required or like an obstacle. Like, this is why it took me so long to get into this kind of stuff, is I didn't want to be in a community of assholes.
Well, so I feel like what happens for me is, especially in high school shop class, I'm not being elitist. I think I was smarter than most of the class, which meant
You're still
that
smarter than most of the class.
I was more likely to make snide remarks, more likely to point out contradictions while the teacher is talking, and like just that kind of trap that, what do they call them? Gifted and talented kids fall into.
Yeah.
You have so much potential if only you would apply yourself.
Empathy.
Yeah.
Really lack empathy. Yep.
Yeah. But thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick sponsor break. We have one of our favorite sponsors this week, 1Password, once again talking about part of their product that none of us actually use. So when they tell us to make this,
what a rousing start to the ad read. Can that just be our policy from now on when we're reading an ad for something? Now we're going to read you something today. We're really grateful to hear. We have never touched this.
But like I said, like 1Password is, it's awesome.
I'm implementing 1Password across my organization right now. We love it for everything we know about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's our rousing promotion of the sponsor, but I'm going to talk about extended access management. So imagine your company's security like the quad of a college campus. There are nice brick paths between the buildings. Those are the company-owned devices, IT-approved apps, and managed employee identities. And then there are the paths that people actually use, the shortcuts worn through the grass that are actual straightest line from point A to B. There are unmanaged devices, shadow IT apps, and non-employee identities, such as contractors. Most security tools only work on those happy brick paths, but a lot of security problems take place on the shortcuts. 1Password Extended Access Management is the first security solution that brings all of these unmanaged devices, apps, and identities under your control. It ensures that every user credential is strong and protected, every device is known and healthy, and every app is visible. 1Password Extended Access Management solves the problems traditional IAM and MDM can't. It's security for the way we work today, and it's now generally available to companies with Okta and Microsoft Entra and in beta for Google Workspace customers. Check it out at onepassword.com/overtired. That's 1Password with the number 1.com/overtired. Thanks, 1Password. We'll continue to talk about, using like end user stuff because we all love it for that.
I mean, I've been a mobile device manager before, and I've had to do IAM things, and
Really?
yeah, this was like job right out of the military. Like,
Oh, then you can actually speak to this. I should have let you do the ad read.
I've never used the 1Password bit, but I've definitely used some of the other tools that they talk about, and yes, I will say that there was always the like, hey, why is this app banned? And it's like, because it's not on the one of 20 apps that we allow you to use. And then we see them pull out another phone and go, but here I have this work contract here on my personal phone and I need to get it off of my personal phone. And this is the only app that I have. And it's like, congratulations, you've snitched on yourself. Good job.
Yeah.
Give me that. Now we need to wipe both phones. But
so I am the person on the path that is not the brick road. Like I got so fed up with using my work authorized laptop because of the limited number of apps I could use and the way that they forced me to work. So I set up a whole little like VPN tunnel on a mini in my basement to make my Mac Studio appear like it was a work authorized app, but without any of the control.
I give myself a 3.
Brett spends a whole lot of time every day in this one app.
Yeah. But it, we do what we have to. So real quick, I want to say that, so my job is I work in developer relations, but for the last 3 years, I have basically written content for developers, how-to articles and demos for different technologies. And right now they have me producing 2-minute videos to promote AI solutions at Oracle. And like Jay was talking about earlier, I'm doing demos on technologies I've never used. So I have to work with the creators of the project to figure out what the hell they're talking about and then try to like compress all the impressive bits of it into 2 minutes. And that's okay. I enjoy the production. I like that part of my job.
My favorite part.
But it doesn't feel like relationships, developer relations. So I came up with this scheme, if you will, to build an aggregator that finds us everybody on the web, like indie bloggers that have good search engine ranking that are writing about us or about similar technologies on our competitors and doing things like writing how-tos and writing overviews and aggregating all of them and then putting together a team that actually develops, like reaches out and develops relationships with these developers to hopefully get them to write about our technologies, maybe do side-by-side how-tos, like here's how you do it on S3, here's how you do it on Oracle Object Storage, and like actually get that content. Because right now, all the content we write goes into the Oracle ecosystem. So if you're not following Oracle already, if you're just Googling, you're not really finding these specific solutions. So I made a mind map for this proposal and I sent it. They asked for a Word file or a PowerPoint. And I said, no, I'm going to send you a mind map. And every time I do that, people are like, oh my God, this is so cool. I love seeing it like this. I get, at least
people
3 people
love mind maps.
Yeah. Even if they don't like making them, they like reading them. Like it's a great way to present information.
Oracle has their own AI tool, right?
Yeah.
At this point,
Yeah. they have the tools you need to build an LLM. They don't have like their own language model or anything, but they
This
do a
is
lot of.
when I would take like a template of what they want and take your mind map and just feed it in and go here.
Dude, what I want to do is all these, for every AI solution we promote, we have to write a one pager. I want to be able to feed this one pager into a tool that generates the search to find people talking about specifically the technology in that one pager so I can reach out. And then I want AI to summarize what that person has already written so that I can approach them with at least a cursory knowledge of what they've already done. Because that's how you contact a blogger. You say, hey, I read this article you wrote. I really like point A and point B that you made. I wonder if you've heard of this thing that I produce that you might also be interested in. Like, those are the emails. When I get them, those are the ones I pay attention to. The ones that are not just like, hello, Brett Terpstra, we notice you're interested in this broad technology. Would you like to try our product?
Not just that, but like also if Brett comes to me and says, hey, your last blog post was super dope, like that means something.
Mhm.
If someone I've never met before says, hey, good blog post, how would you like to write for us now?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's spam.
Or even worse, how would you like a sponsored article from us on your blog?
Yeah, like,
because you showed up in our Google
You're
search
offering
results.
that to me?
And
like I tell people the best recruiting tactic that worked on me was Microsoft, in which my boss sponsored me on GitHub for 2 years. Like,
that's the long con.
replied to like tweets that I was doing, replied to some talks that I had given, like had a genuine interest in, wow, Jay's content's actually pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
there's an investment in this. So that when they reached out and they said, hey, my team is hiring and I think you would be a good candidate for this, it wasn't just like, hello, stranger I've never met before. How would you like a brand new opportunity? It was like, oh no, I actually have some rapport with this person. Like, I know that they are heavily invested in not just their team's success, but my personal success, in the fact that they've been paying me for 2 years already.
Right.
Like, there's a right and a wrong way to do this.
My most successful project at Oracle, the one that has been the most beneficial to the company, is one I did because someone else at Oracle had been following me for years and they knew what I could do. And they asked me to come work for their team and write tools that would convert their entire Confluence wiki into a GitHub. Well, in this case, Oracle has some GitHub clone, but basically into Markdown files that they could turn into a repository of information. And I built this, and their writing team was spending 2 hours per page to convert these and then clean them up. And I made it into, you could do an entire 100 pages in 30 seconds. And like, I took care of all their requests and saved them, according to their estimate, thousands of hours. However, I did not include this in my self-review because technically I was doing it in my off hours and it wasn't authorized by my manager. So I figured maybe I shouldn't mention that I had put, hours into this project and saved the company thousands of man and woman hours, and non-binary. But I got a letter of commendation from them. I requested, like, if I saved you this much time, write me a glowing letter of commendation. And I sent that to my manager. This is like 2 days after I found out I wasn't getting a bonus. And I'm like, fuck you, here. This is what I've done for the company.
And also, I will go work for that team.
I asked them, can I just switch to your team? And they're like, we have 0 headcount. We have to lay someone off this month anyway.
Oh no. The interesting part of that, though, is we just had this conversation yesterday as I had to give this demo to our team, and they were like, wait a minute, y'all have done all this work. Where's the Jira tickets for this?
Right.
Where's the GitHub repo? And we're like, they're all private. And the team was like, what? How dare we not be able to see what this super secret squirrel team is doing all
And
the time and
yeah,
put in our comments?
I hate Jira so much that I find ways around actually using Jira. So when managers go to look at Jira ticket count as a metric of success, I look
Mhm.
horrible. I have like 2
Yeah.
tickets completed for the whole year.
Well, and the thing that we came to finally was like, we're doing all this work, it's all listed as private, but here's the thing. These 5 super important things that make our company the company that it is and how it operates and how it ultimately makes money were all done as SkunkWorks projects in people's off time just because they were tired of the way that it was working and they
Yep.
made it better. And then it
Yeah.
got adopted into, hey, this is really great. We should use this for everything now. And to me, it's like, wait a minute. What we've learned is that, yes, we can be open and transparent about things. That doesn't mean that everything needs to be open source, made available to the public on day one. Sometimes, especially when you're working in a company, it's better to be like, let me get my idea out there and done. And then when it's at a place where I can present it to the company, then I'll present it. Then we'll take all the criticisms. Then we'll take all the feedback and apply it as needed. But if you're coming out the gate on day one with just like, well, you chose Fish as your terminal editor, I don't know why you did that. You should be using T-shell because reasons. And you're just like, never mind. Now I want to quit and go find a new job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
All
also, you shouldn't have given yourself a 3 on that, Brett. That's totally 5 work.
Well, dude, the ratings are like, how was your leadership? I'm not a manager.
You're
I
a fantastic leader.
I don't want to be a leader. I want to do shit behind the scenes and make shit better for everybody.
That's called being a leader.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the definition of a leader, Brett.
Yeah.
Like, and I edited maybe 20 long articles and I did a great job of editing, but my name doesn't go on those articles. Like, I'm invisible at this company.
I have another blog post that I am actually working on in that whole series that is exactly what you're saying. Like, talking with a bunch of architects has taught me one thing: commit count, line, like code line count, all of those things are very, very horrible metrics. And what are better metrics are, how many things did you help push across the finish line?
Mm-hmm.
Not like, oh, I'm the one that wrote the code, but like, I was the person that said, hey, you should run this through a linter, or hey, you have a typo there, or this is off messaging or whatever. Or even, oh, you're stuck on this. Here's an example of some code that I wrote in my spare time that explains how to solve that problem. And like, all of those things are not easily quantifiable.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with companies. And again, we're both in DevRel. DevRel has this horrible like challenge in that everything that we do that brings value is not quantifiable.
Right.
Everything that we do that can
all
be
DevRel is unquantifiable.
Like and like, you know, people who give talks at DevRel Con will argue this, but everything, all the challenges of like, we need to figure out how to turn blog posts into quantifiable metrics and conference talks into quantifiable metrics. I was asked to keynote at a conference next year that hasn't been announced yet, so I won't do that, but I'll be keynoting at some conference next year. And as I had to justify travel, eventually I was like, okay, look, I'm an influencer in this community.
Yeah.
I can go there and like, regardless, I'm going to go there because they asked me to keynote. I've blown them off a couple of years in a row because of other work things getting in the way. I'm going this year. The options are I can take vacation, I can go on my own because they're going to pay me to go, and I can be super excited to talk about my company and all the cool things that we're doing. Or,
right.
or you can pay for me to go, and then I'll be really, really excited and I'll want to give demos and I'll try to go to meetups and stuff and I'll like extend my time there and have a really good time that benefits the company. Or you'll continue to piss me off and I'll just go and then I'll let people know that I'm looking for work, in which then I will have 5 offers. So it's your choice. Like,
but when you're making this argument, you can't say it's going to result in this many new customers because that's not trackable.
Yeah.
Like new customers don't get there's no sign up thing that says how did you hear about us, and they put down Jay Miller.
oh,
and
Jay,
you
that
get
one
credit
time,
for
that
it.
one place.
All right,
Yeah.
we should get
Yeah.
to our gratitude before we run out of time here.
Yeah.
Jeff, you've been kind of railroaded out of this conversation. You've been quiet. Would you like to go first?
Oh, I don't feel railroaded. I'm a listener. Yeah, sure. My app is, so, there are all these apps that we all have that have been there for so long and they are just working. And then maybe you forget that your computer behaves this way because a certain person made a certain app. Hazel,
Hazel
right?
has a new update.
So
yeah, I know.
Oh,
Quick note about
yeah,
Hazel.
please.
I wish Hazel, when it came up with the buy a new version dialogue, it should tell you currently have this many Hazel rules running on this many folders.
Yeah.
Because I forget how
Yeah.
much Hazel is doing for me in the back. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, it's the ultimate example, right? Like, so the app is front and center, Don Syracuse's app from 2020. And front and center just restores a classic Mac OS feature. I think Syracuse used the classic OS from like age 9 to 26 before OS 10 kicked in. And what it does is so simple. When I click on a window of an application, all of the windows that are on my desktop open appear. I use this mostly for Finder. You can actually, there's an exclude list. So if you don't want it to happen to other apps, that's fine. If you shift click on an app, it won't bring them all forward, but it is something that for me, I found I wanted all the time. I especially want it with Finder windows because I spray those things like indiscriminately onto my 4 monitors or whatever. And so it's just a lovely, elegant app. It's constantly updated. You wouldn't think there's a lot of attention that needs to be paid, but like if you look at, I mean, it's not surprising given it's Syracuse, but like if you look at the change log, there's just these little incremental, meaningful changes that happen over time as recently as 2 weeks ago, even though it's a 2020 app that does a very simple thing. So highly recommend.
Can you reverse it so that it only brings forward all windows if you hold down shift?
Yep. You can have a classic mode or a modern mode. If you have it on modern mode, then shift click gives the classic functionality. If you have it on classic mode, shift click gets
Gotcha.
the modern.
I could see that being useful. In general, I've gotten really used to the current Mac OS behavior, and I often only want the window I click on to come forward. But in the cases where the Finder is a good example, like you said, to bring forward all windows.
I've been playing with the tiling manager, and the reason why it is not my gratitude is because my brain hasn't wrapped around it yet.
Right.
I'm still like, why is this one window so small?
Wait, like a specific tiling manager or?
Yeah, called Aerospace. I've been on this quest to make the terminal my friend again. And it's weird because this isn't a terminal focused application, but it's one that a lot of terminal first content creators have all kind of endorsed. So I was like, we'll try it out. And it is definitely a brain thing, but like, Brett, when you said can it reverse it, I thought you were like, can I reverse front and center? So like back and off to the corner. like if I shift click it, then it like moves into the smallest window possible. Like
Awesome.
All right. Well, speaking of terminal, Jay, what you got?
Yeah, so mine is because I've been trying to go back to the terminal lifestyle for no particular reason other than I want to challenge my brain to do something different. And I've always been a big fan of terminal things, but I am using a multiplexer called Zellige. I'm not sure how the J is pronounced at the end of that.
I think it's a Y.
Zelia. There we go. It's ultimately an alternative to something like a Tmux. It is pretty much has like feature parity with Tmux. The big difference that I see with it is that a lot of Tmux commands either have to be aliased out of like the leader, or you then have to like play configuration hell with them all. This starts at that spot. It like while it supports the tmux like leader and then going into another thing, you can also just do the natural thing. So panes, tabs, windows, sessions, all those are relatively quickly accessed with just control and then a logical letter, other than session, which is O. And I don't know why session is O, but whatever. Well,
I term Command Shift O is switch session. Maybe they were just.
maybe okay. So maybe it's just.
But I don't know. I also don't know why it's like that in iTerms. So.
Yeah. The thing that I like most about Zellage that kind of made stuff start to click for me was this idea of a floating window for excess things. So where in tmux, if you try to go to like list your sessions, it pretty much takes over the entire screen, and then you have to go do stuff and find things and move things around, and then like everything goes away. With Zellage, it's like this little tiny window in the center of your terminal window that just like pops up really quick. Oh, do what I got to do, click it, it goes away, and everybody's happy, and I can still see the context in which where I am. The nice thing about that is you can also have floating panes. So, hey, I have a static site generator that's built in Python called Render Engine. I use it to maintain my own personal website, and it has a file watcher and like auto reload functionality. So now I just always have a local version of my website always running, and it's just running in this little hidden floating window. So I can just like write a blog post, save the blog post, go to a terminal or go to an internet browser and like preview that article. And if I make any changes to it, give it like 2 seconds, and then I can see those changes live as they're happening, which is usually it's like as I'm writing, I have marked open. So I'm looking at it, but then I haven't gotten to the point where I have all of my CSS, custom piped into marked yet. So then it's like, what does this look like? Okay, cool. Go over here and do it. But it also works when I'm trying to like edit the CSS layout or change terminal stuff. And I don't have to think about if it's running or not because it's just always running. And if something gets squirrely with it, I'm just like, boom, was it Control P W, then to pop up that little window, write, terminal stuff, relaunch the server, and then hit Control P W again, and then it just pops off back into the background, and like I'm happy.
Right.
And this has been great because for the first time now I actually have like SSH windows and stuff that I have running that I'm connected to that are just like, oh, off in the background. Oh, I need to do that thing really quick. Pop it up and go. But my brain couldn't get tmux. Zellage seems to be working for me, so hooray.
My brain has finally gotten tmux. I'm definitely going to check this out, but like I use anytime I SSH into a machine, I immediately open tmux. Usually I have it as part of like the profile. This is an SSH session, open tmux. And I have run into plenty of issues.
One suggestion I would make if you're going to try it, switch to the compact UI or the compact interface, because the default interface is kind of chunky. Okay. So you're losing real estate if you're not doing the compact one.
Cool. All right. I will check. Yeah, Jeff.
So their roadmap visualization is bananas, and I'm not sure if that's just something that already exists as a way you do roadmap visualizations.
I've never seen this before.
It is bananas. I put a link in the show notes.
It's like a pie chart, mind map, concept map.
It's a little hard to take in, but it's like A for effort.
It looks like that thing that Brett was talking about where you take your bipolar medication and then crush it up and dip it into.
I don't know what the purple versus the tan means.
No, it's a little bit of a mindfuck, but I also was just like, okay, all right. You mean it though.
Hey, if it works for them, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Mine is Link Warden. I've been seeking out slowly a pinboard replacement. Pinboard hasn't seen an update in years.
So you're going to do it?
Yeah. Well, so I was thinking about doing it, and I pitched the idea on Mastodon, and a few people replied with, wait, somebody's already done this.
No, I said yes. Fuck whoever's done it. It's not good.
Well,
I mean,
like
not
all
to give Brett more work, but I would also sign up for whatever Brett's version of this is.
all I really want is like the exact functionality of Pinboard, but with a way better interface on the web, but like a replicated API, which is already a replication of the Delicious API. And
Nice.
yeah, like to just bring that forward, add maybe a few new functions. But like Pinboard is a overall very simple database app.
Totally.
But one of the alternatives that was presented to me is called Link Warden, and it is a beautiful open source version of a link manager that also handles archiving and PDF duplication of websites. You can also easily submit a link to the Wayback Machine, and it has a decent API. It's poorly documented. Still, I have a couple GitHub issues in right now. But it was easy to export all of my Pinboard links, 8,000 of them, and import them into Link Warden. I'm currently having a little bit of issue with importing tags, which they replied to my issue as, well, that's odd. But I haven't gotten any resolution on that yet. And using it without tags is pointless to me. So I'm hoping they resolve that. The people I've talked to that are already using it have had no problem with tags. So this is something unique to me, but it's beautiful. It works well on iOS. You can add shortcuts to Safari. It has plugins for Chrome and Firefox, and it looks great on mobile, and it offers like screenshots of every link. You can view, you can sort your links in any way you want to. You can organize by tags, or you can create folders, which I was using link bundles on Pinboard, which make a little more sense to me, but I think I could replicate that functionality in Link Warden. But yeah, if you're looking for a Pinboard replacement, because Pinboard hasn't seen an update and the creator of Pinboard has been going slowly mad on social media, and I don't have a lot of faith in the future of Pinboard. Big fan, little faith, and looking around. So Link Warden is my top pick. LinkedIn is another one, but Link Warden looks better.
I'm really tempted to so this is like the combination of tools enabling this. So I could see self-hosting this on a Raspberry Pi, activated by like I keep want to say Tailwind, but Tailscale.
Yeah.
And then I'm happy because all of my links are saved for me. They're all mine. I'm not sharing them with the world. I really have no desire to share what I watch or what I look at on the internet with the world outside of like what I do from like a microblogging standpoint.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is I like my web excursions are all driven by Pinboard. I just save links to Pinboard and they turn into blog posts for me. So there are some that I want public.
Is there not a world where this can just be stored in plain text? Because I'm really trying to figure out the like, all right, look, I understand that AI is the devil or the angel that is here to either save or damn us. And I'm like, I do look at a bunch of links and I often am just like, I don't know what I know anymore and I don't know where I went. So I'm just going to look for it again to save myself the energy. If I had something that I was like, give me everything that I need to look at regarding this.
Have you seen History Hound?
History, it sounds familiar.
I think it was C Command, but History Hound will track your web history, and you can then search everywhere you've been by just typing any words that appeared on the page, and it will find links you've already visited. It's pretty cool. I don't personally use it. I like a more curated approach to saving my web history.
Yeah. I think that was that. I have used History Hound in the past, and I think I didn't use it, which is the problem.
Okay.
Like I used it, but I didn't use it, and that's where I like the idea of a Pinboard, because with Pinboard it was like, clicked the button, and then when I went to need it, it was like there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that the future of that is kind of like, I have some collection of these things, and now I just say, hey, local LLM, here's all of this content, quick search it, and then you tell me what I should be pulling.
That's kind of a brilliant idea.
Hold
All
on
right.
now, Brett.
I'll build
Let's
that.
really quick talk about how you're going to build this app because here the problem with I know
You
we
got
don't
two enablers.
I know
Brett,
we
sorry.
don't normally argue in Gratitude about apps, but here is the primary problem. You used the word twice in describing this app. You said beautiful. It can't be beautiful. I hate it when it's beautiful because I feel like I'm in
It
a
needs to be
browser
functional.
on a web page. And what I love about Pinboard, even more than I liked Delicious, is how plain and simple it is. And it's not like Craigslist, like it's not that bad, right? But it's like my only complaint about it is when I have private links, because I like to have my links generally private. They're grayed out in a way that I find aesthetically very unpleasing. But here's the thing. I know that you would make beautiful without making it beautiful, if that makes any sense.
I mean,
And
I would just take raw, give me raw JSON. Like, I don't care. Like, I want
yeah,
to be
yeah, right. And I would love the incremental changes you would come up with over the years to this service, because I think they would all be thoughtful and lovely.
I really like the AI idea where it
I do
stores
shit like that. I
it
love
stores
it.
the text of everything you bookmark, and then you can just ask like a small language model.
Yeah.
You can just ask it, hey, tell me more about this thing that I bookmarked 20 tabs. Remind me like where I was in this research.
This is where like the combination and Brett, if no one's going to give you a 5, let me give you a 5 here. Like, you have
Are you giving him
many-
a 5 to the future?
Yes, you have so many projects that can be combined in this with like doing. Like I see
Search
like
link.
I see like doing and SearchLink just working together.
Yeah.
With some easy bookmarking system,
Well, along with Gather and maybe
Yes.
Curly
Oh,
Q.
God,
Like
yeah,
someone
no, Jay,
someone
well
sent
done.
me someone sent me
way to speak his language. Wait, I feel like Jay just definitely like manipulated you. I mean, I think Jay meant it, but I
Like,
also think Jay knew it was like
65% of the code already exists. You
Yeah,
created it.
someone
You just got
someone sent me a Keyboard Maestro macro today that combines SearchLink and Gather. So with Keyboard Maestro, you can just type in a couple keywords and get back plain text version of the result, which, yeah, I think that's kind of brilliant.
That's amazing. All right. Well, Brett, I look forward to checking in next week on how this is going, because you have an opportunity here to save the world, and that doesn't happen much, and the world needs saving.
All right. All right.
All right. Great to talk to you, Jay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I guess my one shout out here is everyone be kind to yourself and each other. I think we've got like a week or a week and a half before half the world loses, or half of America loses their mind.
Well, yeah. Yeah. We,
Oh, I'm sorry, they've already lost it.
48%.
Yeah. Who knows?
The undecided voters are going to be fine.
Yeah, but ultimately, like, I have my opinions, and I will say we have survived the last 8 years with and without whoever your favorite person running is. Let's not kill each other because of a decision. I think we're going to survive another 4 years, and then maybe we'll survive another 4 years after that. But also, like, hey, if you're wanting to get into open source development, reach out to me. I have opinions. Last time I was here, I think we talked about Black Python devs a little bit. Brett, we have almost 900 people in that Discord now.
Wow,
Like,
that's amazing.
It's so wild. We've been able to sponsor events all over the world.
That's
It's
so
been
cool.
fantastic. But if it's taught me anything, it's taught me that, again, people don't hire people because they write good code. They hire them because they're actually helpful. And give yourself more 5s. Come on, let's
Jay, hold on.
There
I
you
know that we're technically wrapping up, but I wonder if you could talk about your sort of live coding and live sort of teaching, because I've really loved skimming through those, and you're wonderful at it.
I'd have to still be doing it.
But talk about, even you've done it, right? Like,
yeah, I've been doing some live streams with some friends who are trying to get into programming, and I'm a firm believer that, like, if you read a book and you just try to follow the book, it's not going to teach you anything other than how to do what the book is doing. Try to build some stuff. Go out there, build stuff. You're smarter than you think you are. Sometimes it's helpful to have a person there that has maybe done this before and walked you through it. But I've been working with a few friends and helping them to just build stuff that they want to build. And a lot of it is more of like, here, I'll show you where you can find this information, and I'll show you what it looks like in this language. But ultimately, have fun with it and just do stuff, and don't be afraid not to do those things. And if you want to see more of that stuff, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/KJ Miller, KJAY Miller.
And you're a great teacher. You're great. I think you're great at that. I don't think it's cool that you tell people at the end, I'm giving you an A, even though you're an asshole because you did the work. But otherwise, I think you're a fantastic teacher. No, truly, it is. The spirit of it is wonderful, and it's almost good ASMR.
I
really recommend it.
I appreciate that. I'm not so great to look at, but just like, put me off in the background and just do some other stuff. It'll be fun.
It's awesome. Well, we've loved looking at you.
Yep, for sure. All right, you guys get some sleep.
Get some sleep.
The system is going down low.